Hi, Abby.
Hi, Suze.
So we've got about an hour session today.
Yep.
Fantastic. So just to let you know, don't worry about the time. The time is my responsibility, so I'll be keeping an eye on the time. So
Okay.
have you got everything kind of moved out of your immediate view as well? Phones
Yep.
put out of
Everything's
reach.
away. Yep. I'm just tidying up a tiny little bit so that I don't fiddle.
And are you feeling ready for this session?
Yes, I'm feeling curiously optimistic.
Okay,
Yeah.
curiously optimistic. I like that. So, what would you like to explore together today, Abby?
So I've got a kind of pattern or a cycle that I fall into regularly when it comes to my work. I work in service based contracts with clients on their copywriting and content coaching and things like that. And so I'm really hands on when it comes to working with clients. I have to be there and I enjoy being there. But I know that the amount of work that I've got in a week means that I have time to actually enjoy my life outside of work or work in my business so that I'm not always client focused. Um, but when it comes to that side of things, I come up against a wall every time because I get so easily overwhelmed or into procrastination. And then I just hit this wall where it's almost like I physically cannot let myself get any further forward with fixing this kind of block. So I do all of the work that I need to do for my clients, but I know that there's a smarter kind of more effortless way to do that so that I can have a nice balance or so that I can create, and I really want to create some kind of own product or package for people to just tap into. um but every time I come up to actually get to that point of planning it and making it a thing, I just resist and then I go into procrastination mode or distraction mode, and then I end up working way more hours than I need to. Sometimes I'll have to work at weekends so that I meet my clients' deadlines, and I'm sort of hyper aware that it's all happening, but
Hmm.
also like really resistant to fix it, even though I want to. Does that make sense?
Okay. So, with everything that you've just said through, can I get this right? Is it that it's not so much the actual work for your clients? What is it that you're procrastinating over? Is it business development side of things?
I mean, I will also procrastinate when it comes to work for my clients.
Okay.
I know that it's there, and then I almost resist it. I just can't seem to get deep enough in my head to do the work that's in front of me. So I spend so much time just kind of faffing around and trying to get into the zone. And then, I'll maybe be in there, it's like there's no sort of focused work.
Hmm.
Um, and but definitely when it comes to my own business development and kind of working on you know my internet is unstable, Suze. I've just got a great big sign that's come up there.
I've got you. You're
Sorry.
okay. I can totally see you. You're a little bit frozen, but I think everybody knows that, that's just the way, that's the way of the internet. So unless you disappear,
Okay.
if you're happy to
Yeah,
carry on.
that's fine if you are as well.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so there's just quite a lot of resistance. And I think it's, instead of it actually being about client work development, it's almost like a pull between knowing what I want to do and allowing myself to do it.
Hmm. So there's procrastination in there, there's resistance, and is it giving yourself permission to do the work?
Yes, probably. I probably struggle with that. Yeah.
Hmm. So is that what you'd like to explore for the session today?
Yes, because I have this sort of vision for myself that my work is effortless. I mean, obviously, I'll always put effort in, but it feels light. I want it to feel light and warm. And so I just feel like this block, this is the last thing that I need to get rid of. This kind of confused, muddled energy that I bring every time I kind of sit down to work on something. You know, I know what I need to be doing, but then I really struggle to put those things in place.
So wanting to feel effortless and light on one hand, and it sounds like it's quite a struggle
Yeah,
on the other hand.
yeah. Because I don't I'm dyslexic, so I am quite erratic anyway. I struggle with systems and processes, um, but equally, it feels like there's something weightier in there. Like when I think about the blocks, I can actually feel it in my head sometimes, like this sort of heavy kind of pressure that's in the way.
So a heavy pressure in, like, literally in your head. Is how you're
Yeah,
feeling
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Mm. If that pressure wasn't there, how would you feel?
I would feel lighter and I think more energetic.
Mm. So a lack of energy from that pressure. And where is the pressure coming from? Is it pressure that you don't feel that you're being effortless and light in what you do, or is it coming from something else?
I think it's actually more overwhelm about,
Mm.
the sheer volume of stuff that I want to do, that I want to achieve. So it's almost like my business and my work is just one big wall, and I'm trying to figure out how to get over every bit of the wall at the same time.
Mm. Can you get over the wall, every bit of the wall at the same time?
No, there's only one part of the wall that I can get over at any time.
Do you have to get over the wall?
So mentally, I feel like on the other side of that wall is all the goals that I want to achieve. You know,
Mm.
the revenue that I'd like to bring in, this balance between work and non-work, um, the types of clients that I want to work with, the kind of the things that I want to achieve. I feel like they're all out of sight right now and over that wall.
So we need to get you over that wall.
Yeah, even just for a look.
What would it take for you to be able to get a peek over that wall?
I think it's a combination of feeling like I've done everything that I need to do so that I've got some spare time to actually figure out how to get over the wall. And maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe that this all this stuff that I need to do is either unachievable, or I sort of often feel like I'm just doing it wrong. I'm not applying myself in the right way. So I kind of look around for all these different ways to try and get it done. And actually, if I just spent the time getting the work done,
Mm.
then I'd have more time to sort of work on getting over the wall.
So that there's a right way and a wrong way to run your business.
I feel like that, and I feel like I'm definitely doing it the wrong way. Like I'm quite sure of that. I sort of I feel like, like I'll come in the morning and I'll plan out the day. And as soon as I do that, the list is just overwhelming. Like today's list is overwhelming. It just looks like an unfriendly list. Um, and then if anything slips, then, that's one thing off the list. And then, like something unusual. Well, the kids are at home homeschooling at the moment, so there's like constant distractions. So, I don't know, it just feels like I can't get through the day the right way. And on days where I have got the time to get through it the right way, I'll get in my own way to stop it from happening.
So there's a couple of things going on there. It's finding the right way through your day.
Yep.
Finding the right way, how to run your business the right way overall. Yep. And what else is in
there? So I think that there's a consistency thing. As soon as I try to be consistent, to try to find this right way, I resist the consistency. I resist I just kind of trip myself up because I don't want to do the same things all the same way all the time. I want to have a bit of flexibility, but this is where the problem lies, is that as soon as I've got the flexibility, then, that's when procrastination and distraction and all of that kicks in as well. It's really muddled. I'm not sure if I'm making myself very clear.
You are, absolutely. So it sounds like the right way for you feel like, is in being consistent.
Yep.
Is the right way for you also getting through your to-do list?
Yeah, I mean, yes. But even the creation of the to-do list feels like it's the wrong way. Like I try to map out my time. I try to, do a review at the end of the week and plan for the next week and all that kind of thing. And quite often my to-do list will fall by the wayside and ends up just being like this mad rush to get everything done. And then, there's this sort of self-flagellation that I've not done it the right way.
Keeps coming back to what's the right way and
the right way and the wrong way. The right way feels like it should be easy and, ordered and calm, whereas the Abi way is, very much muddled and convoluted and, like time stretches on when it really doesn't need to.
Who do you have in your life that you see as running the business the right way?
I don't know if there's anyone in my actual life that is running their business. Well, I mean, I've got a couple of clients actually, but that's their special kind of area. They're like business mentors or coaches and, that kind of thing. So that you would expect them to know what they're doing. But when it comes to like actual peers, I feel like probably everyone has this version of narrative running through their heads.
So you said as well, there's the right way of doing things and there's the Abi way.
Yeah.
What's the Abi way of doing things?
Well, this isn't just restricted to work, but the Abi way of doing things is sort of very erratic, very full on in areas that I enjoy, and then pretty flighty and unwieldy on things that I'm not as into. Plus I do love starting things and don't often get to the end of them.
So is that around kind of getting caught up in the excitement of the new?
Yeah, I love change. I love a little bit of manageable chaos. I do like it when things kind of get thrown up in the air, and you can, pick up the pieces. But at the same time, I also quite like that. I've recognized since having kids that I'm really, I quite like to be in control of the chaos, which is obviously a bit of an anomaly.
Are there ways that you can bring control to the chaos so that is is there some halfway between what you see as consistency in the right way and chaos? Is there an in between?
Yeah, I mean, I think or it feels like the in between is when I actually get through the day feeling like I've achieved the stuff that I really want to achieve,
Hmm.
because that then gives me the time to do whatever I want to do. I can literally choose, obviously with current restrictions you can't, but I could choose to just take a whole weekend and go and visit a friend, or just go out for a big long walk, or whatever. But because I don't do it the right way, I sort of stick at my laptop and stay until my husband will say it's time for tea, and I realize that I haven't finished at the time I wanted to, and and my to-do list is still uncrossed. I don't think my clients would ever, my clients always come first when it comes to work. I get the stuff done, and it's always, good quality, and my clients are always pleased. But underneath all of that, there's just kind of this unwieldy chaos that I would like to get on top of.
So a day where you feel that you've achieved something,
Yeah.
what does that look like?
Well, like a really great day would be where I've completed a client project in the chunk of time that I've allowed myself. So, say for example, writing like a homepage for a client, that should take me, if I've done all of the research in advance, that shouldn't take me any longer than 3 hours. Um, and so if I was to do that and then have a break and then do some of my own, business development, write my email newsletter, that kind of thing, and then another client assignment in the afternoon, I would feel really pleased with that. But
Mm.
usually what ends up happening is I'll write the I'll spend some of the time writing that homepage, and then because I'm so distracted by all the other things that go on, I won't have that break, and then that break will make me tired, so I won't want to go back into writing. So I'll look at my list and find something else that I want to do that doesn't feel heavy, and I'll do that. And then I've still got this lump of client homepage to write, but also on my list, I've got the second client project. So then it all jams up together. And so then the afternoon part of that day ends up being, 5 solid hours of writing and feeling really stressed and resenting the work. And also knowing that that was completely within my control not to do that.
So having that to-do list, but then feeling that you're not getting through your to-do list, getting distracted,
Yeah.
getting stressed, spending more time working,
Yep.
and then it sounds like there's a bit of kind of having a go at yourself for
Yeah.
not for not for not what are you having a go at yourself for at the end of the day?
For not doing it the way that I genuinely wanted to do it.
Hmm.
So just like for just getting in my own way again.
What are the consequences of that?
I mean, I sort of feel like I'm stuck in this loop where,
Mm.
I actually, it's almost like, well, you're not going to do the thing you say you're going to do. So why even bother saying it? Just react. I don't want to be a reactive person in my life. I want to be proactive. Um, so but I find this consistently doing the thing I want to do or say I want to do, that's the bit that overwhelms me and exhausts me. Like having to be reliable to myself every day is exhausting. It's fine being reliable to other people every day, but then actually I'm not now, I'm not being reliable to my kids and my husband because of this kind of, this unwieldy day that I've lost control of. So I'm not finishing, I could easily finish work at 4 o'clock and do something nice with the kids, or do something just basic with the kids even, but I sort of have to push it now to the very extreme. So then, dinner is like now 7 o'clock, and I'll just leave work and go straight into the kitchen and have dinner. And then it's, time for the kids to go to bed. So there's this just kind of rumbling of dissatisfaction. Just once again, the knock-on effect that is now knocking on into real life as well.
That's an interesting turn of phrase, knocking on into real life.
Yeah.
What do you see your business life as?
So, I mean, I love it. I get, especially right now, with the pandemic, I get so much from my job and so much from my work life. So, I mean, obviously that is real life, but I feel like Brian and the kids, obviously they love the fact that I've got my own business. They love that I'm fulfilled and challenged, that I bring in money, all of that kind of stuff. But I think they don't see this as my real life because they're the most important people. So they are my real life. The kids don't understand why I do so much work all of the time, and I don't move about, I don't take breaks, I don't do any sort of healthy habits that would probably make the day an easier day to get through. So I feel like there's two very separate worlds right now, work and family, and work has now kind of scooped up all of the energy and time, and left nothing for the family side of things.
What would you like to see change?
I would really like to just be, get to like 4 o'clock and feel like I'd achieved all of my work so that I can kind of close the lid on the laptop and put everything away and then move into, the family version of me, where I'm connecting, I'm not distracted, I'm not thinking about work, I'm not worried about, what still has to be done and all of that sort of.
So putting a full stop on your business day at the end of the business day.
Because surely then I'll look forward to it more the next day and it won't feel quite, the work won't feel quite so heavy. But I think there's probably something in there about what types of work I'm taking on as well, because, obviously, copywriting is quite intense. And so you throw yourself into it. You give quite a lot of yourself to the writing process. So you do really need that headspace before you start. And because of this kind of erratic way that I work, I don't think I give that process the headspace and the energy that it deserves.
Is that headspace on your to-do list?
No. No.
Why not?
Because I just, so when I write my to-do list, like I've got a sort of a timed schedule, like notepad sort of thing, and so everything that I need to do that day goes on there. And like, so for example, I needed to do some planning before our session, so I've just written in planning, and then coaching, and then writing, and then training, and then meeting, and then meeting, and then more writing, and then end. So I look at that list and think, within each of those, especially the writing chunks, there's so much to do in there that I know that it's just one word, but it means it's got so much weight to it because there's like 10 different things in there that need done.
So there's 10 different things within just the writing bit.
yeah, if you include the headspace and the energy and, getting, really it's hard with the kids around because, you have to kind of get into that zone. So you need to make sure that everything is aligned before you can start writing. And often that feels tiring, so that when you start to write, you're actually energetically not really there because you feel sorted out lunch, made sure everyone knows that um I can't be interrupted for a couple of hours, and all of that. I guess there's the sort of the emotional side of that,
Mm.
which is completely um the opposite of how you want to sit down and start writing for someone. Because like, I really love my clients and I want to put the energy in and write with the energy that they deserve, that they're
Mm.
paying for, and that's how they feel about their business. And surely I owe that to my clients to meet their tasks the same way that you know you to.
When you quote for writing jobs,
Yeah.
in terms of time, so do you do them as projects or hourly rates?
Yeah, it's not so much hourly rates, but usually people will buy a chunk of, like, just a chunk of time for each month, and then at the start of the month we'll work out a week. Oh, sorry, my cat's just jumped on the roof of the office
All
there.
cats are welcome.
It's just about came through the roof. So yeah, so they'll book like, I've got different levels of time chunks basically, and they'll book a time chunk, and then at the start of the month we'll work out what the priorities are. So some months it can be something that I find fairly effortless, like a sales email sequence or something like that. I really love doing that. Other times it'll be something like like writing a sales page for a new online program that they've got, and that is really, again, I love doing it, but it's so involved and you have to go so deep into um the clients work, but also their clients brain space, and to try and get this sort of whole psychology around it, and then still find the right way to write it. So that can take a huge amount of effort. um it just depends on what the client's priorities are.
Do you allow, when you're taking on these projects, do you allow for all of that? And you said chunks of time.
Mm. Yeah, yes, but I mean, obviously, because I'm so easily distracted and
Mm.
procrastinate, I won't ever switch on the clock until I feel like I have, you know, I'm beginning work now for this client. So,
Mm.
yeah, so I only charge them for the actual work, the working part of that, rather than getting into the mind zone.
But it sounds like that the mind zone is an important part of the work that you do for them in terms of getting into their mind zone.
Yeah, yeah. So if there's, quite often we'll do like a little research of all, and that helps me really get into the, under the hood really of
Mm.
what I need to do and who I'm speaking to and what I'm talking about. So I do build that in. Any kind of meeting time or research time or anything like that does get added in, but there's just this kind of, I don't know, it just, the energy stuff I just need
Mm.
to really hone in on.
If you
um
included the energy stuff and the mind and the headspace and the mind space stuff into what you allow for chunks of time, will that make a difference to how you allow for the time involved when you're actually doing the work?
yeah, I think so. And actually, again, I think there would be this, if it was as kind of clear cut as that, it probably wouldn't take as long to get into the mind and energy stuff, because I would feel like, well, this is on the clock now, so let's get into this.
So is that giving
Whereas,
yourself permission?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, definitely. I seem to operate on, I've often joked that I work best when I'm ever so slightly scared of my clients,
Mm.
or they've got, or there's something about them that I don't want to let them down. that's when I work best. But I think as I say that out loud, that both of those things are weird.
In
And
what
I
way are
should,
they weird?
well, because it's like it's about obligation, and it starts off in a negative place. I want to do the best work because I want them to either like me or not give me a row. Which is I'm in my mid 40s. I should not be worried about either of those things. So yeah, so I'm probably approaching it from a negative energy right from the start.
Hmm. Right from the start, in terms of before you even start working with clients, who you work with,
No, no, no.
just
Um,
how you work
yeah,
with them.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
When I work with a client, it's usually, quite often I'll know the client for quite a long time, or in some other way before I start working with them, and it's kind of like a mutual respect or admiration that we end up talking about working together in the first place. So it
Hmm.
starts on a real even keel, but it almost feels like as soon as I'm then left to my own devices, it's unwieldy.
How can you turn that client relationship into more of a partnership rather than feeling obligated to them, as you said?
I genuinely think that if you were to ask my clients about this, they would think they were in a partnership.
Hmm.
It's just it's just when it comes to managing the way I make my way through the day,
Hmm.
that seems to be the block. So it's definitely about me and what I'm putting on myself.
What are you putting on
Um,
yourself?
well, it kind of goes back to this. I should be doing this a different
Hmm.
way. There
Hmm.
should be, it almost feels like there's this really obvious way, and I just can't. It's just blocked off for me. Someone's, put the really obvious way behind an invisible door, and I know that it's there somewhere, but I just can't figure out how to get to it.
Is
So
there a really obvious way? Is there a
I
really obvious way to do anything in life?
no.
What have you done up to this point where you've kind of gone, this is really easy, this is really flowing, this is the obvious way, because it's easy and flowing and light, as you said before as well.
When I like when I work on my this is going to sound really ridiculous now. When I work on my own stuff, like my um newsletter, for example,
Mm.
that's my voice. I know exactly what I want to say. I am my client, I guess, and that comes really easily to me because I love writing. I've always been a writer. So all of that connecting to my audience
Mm.
feels easy and flowing and obvious because I made a decision right at the start that it was always going to be authentic. Like I'm not trying to be anyone else in the way that I communicate with my audience, my small audience, but they are real humans.
Mm.
And so that all feels really easy for me. But it's, I suppose, when there's this extra layer of responsibility or expectation, which of course all clients are more than entitled to have, that's when it feels heavy because I think there's this like, I don't want to do a bad job. I want this client to be happy with the work. I want this client to continue working with me. I want to continue growing my business because, it's what I do. Um, but yeah, when I'm working on my own stuff, when it comes from my own heart and my own head, that feels really easy and full of flow. And I could genuinely do that all day, every day, like
Mm.
with a few you know planning sessions chucked in and a few training courses, I could quite easily work on my own business all the time, but obviously I can't because I've got client work, which is what the business is all around anyway.
How can you be that authentic you when you're planning your day out?
No, that's a really good question. So the authentic me is, I love the idea of honoring my, uh, what I've set out to achieve. So that's what I do with my client. It's just that I don't give myself the structure to actually get it done in the time that I want it to be done in. So when it comes to being authentic throughout my day, what I really need to do is start figuring out how to structure my day in a way that I achieve things that I want to achieve that day. And I just find that, again, coming back to the consistency and being in a loop, I find that really hard.
What can your structure look like so that it's authentic to you? Is it consistency? Or is it something else?
Yeah, I don't know if it is. I feel like the consistency part is what trips me up. I would just love if someone could come and look and say, this is how you work out your day. And then it all just kind of clicks together. But it's almost as if I don't trust myself enough to find the path and then stick to the path. And it's highly possible that I am trying to do too much in one day. Because I guess the whole procrastination and distraction thing shows me that I'm looking for something else.
So doing less in the day.
Maybe, a morning writing for one client and an afternoon writing for a different client. I don't know if that's actually something that is achievable. Maybe that's not, maybe I need to have like a writing chunk of the day, and then some of the other tasks that I enjoy doing in the afternoon. So it doesn't feel heavy and difficult.
And is that achievable with what was that? If you suddenly just kind of gone,
I mean, that actually feels quite like a nice way to navigate the day, is have like, quite a chunky morning and more scattered, like actually allow me to have almost like a pick and mix afternoon.
A pick and mix afternoon.
Yeah, because then I would feel that I was either working on the business or doing some of the flow stuff. And then hopefully that would mean that I would finish work earlier and then be ready the next day to get stuck into the chunkier stuff. Because what I've been trying to do is give myself Wednesdays as a kind of a pick and mix day, and then Fridays as a day to work on my business. But maybe if I changed that around a little bit and just made it more, like maybe from 2 o'clock, it's the pick and mix time. That might feel like a less pressured day, which then would reduce the overwhelm.
So a less pressured day, having kind of writing chunks, so client work in the mornings and a pick and mix in the afternoons.
Yeah.
So allowing yourself to have some of those distractions. within your business day?
Yeah, because some of the distractions are actually not like, I mean, I do probably sit on social media longer than I need to, but I'm getting better at that. But a lot of the distractions are actually things that I really want to do, like I don't know, maybe watch a 90-day planning session training video. I would really like to do that, but it's like a 2-hour training video. And so trying to squidge that in. So like I've done 45 minutes this morning of it. I was going to plan to do another like 45 minutes, at some point this afternoon, and then probably the rest of it in the evening. And so that then feels like a whole day of work with still some work to do in the evening.
Mm.
Whereas if I just allowed the afternoons to take whatever shape I fancied, then that wouldn't feel like a stressful day. And also I would enjoy the distractions like the planning, or maybe I could just watch some smash on TV for half an hour.
And is planning a distraction anyway, or planning's a part of your business?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So that's the thing. I mean, it's like I'm almost giving myself a hard time for doing personal development because it's eating into the client stuff. When I'm pretty sure I could actually structure my week so that doesn't happen.
And that's, you've said personal time, but if you're seeing it's like quite structured between personal and business, you were saying about this strategy 90-day planning thing, that's business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So giving it, how can you give yourself permission to see those things not as distractions but as vital parts of your business, as they're vital parts of anybody's business
Yeah.
when you're running your own business?
Yeah.
What can you say to yourself?
That it has value.
Mm.
Because it does have value. Just because I want to do it and it doesn't actually have an invoice at the end of it doesn't mean to say it's not got value. And the other thing is that because I've been trying to squash this stuff in around everything, I often resent it, and that's why it feels like there's no value there.
So giving yourself permission to see that it's of value, honoring,
Yeah.
you said earlier as well, honoring your time as well.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely think that could work.
So if you think about having bigger chunks in your day, so you have less of a to-do list because there's bigger overall things to be doing. As you said, client work in the morning, other stuff in the afternoon. Seeing the value in what you're doing, no matter whether it's paying the bills or not for your business.
Yeah.
That not everything has an invoice at the end of it.
Yeah.
How does that wall look like now? Is there still a wall that you need to peek over to be able to see the right way of doing things?
Yeah, but it's not. I can actually see over the top of it. It's not like it's not a massive unfriendly wall. It's just the divide between where I am now and where I want to go.
So you're over the other side of the wall.
Yeah, probably actually. Yeah. Yeah.
So if what's over the other side of the wall is the right way to do things, and you're over the other side of the wall.
Yeah. It definitely feels. Yeah, because the wall, when we first started talking, the wall was really oppressive.
And you're saying as well, it's kind of like the wall was in your head as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of pressure.
Mm. Yeah. Yep. Oh, I've got loads to think about. That's amazing. And then I'm sort of imagining then that if I have a fairly effortless afternoon, then I'll be more inclined to just switch off and go and
Mm.
spend time with the kids, because I haven't got this kind of unwieldy list that hasn't actually, I haven't done the things because I've given myself the afternoons to do the things. So I think I've
And
always, when I, when I had the kids, I went part-time, and I always promised myself that I would never go back to work full time. Um, but that was a choice based on um, being an employee,
mm, mm,
whereas there's actually, if I was to work in some way in a full time capacity, doing stuff that I love to do, then isn't that better than trying to squash everything together into some part-time hours where I'm, still having to work weekends, I'm still working evenings, I'm probably
mm.
working way more than 35 hours a week or whatever full-time hours actually are. So yeah, I think somewhere in amongst all of that, I'm honouring a story I told myself 13 years ago when I had my son, about working full time.
And how to work full time,
Yeah,
what that looks like.
yeah, yeah, yep, exactly. I actually cannot wait to go and look at my diary now and change it all around.
That's really good to hear. So what have you, we are just coming to the end of our time
Yeah.
anyway. So what are your next steps from this? You said you've got lots of thinking to do. So share some
Um,
of it with me.
so I really want to work out what my actual goals are,
Mm,
because I think that's going to help me now. Is it that I'm working towards?
mm,
And then I'm actually gonna just I'm gonna look at the the chunks of hours that people have booked, and I'm just gonna put them all into mornings and
mm,
just see how that looks on my calendar. So one thing that I have started doing, which really helps me, is in Google Calendars, I've given all of my clients a color, and so I color codes. I mean, I'm pretty sure that that's something that most people figured out, but I color code the client work so that I can see where it is. And again, that is quite, can be quite overwhelming because of
mm.
the way that I've structured it. Whereas if I just had color codes in the morning and I didn't have anything in the afternoons, then I think that would feel kick out of seeing that actually.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm going to set some goals, or actually just work out what the goals are without necessarily setting anything in stone. And then I'm going to see how to rework this, the monthly dip that I call it, into their color blocks in the mornings.
And if you have that wider sense of that it's client work, how does that feel? So just like mornings are client work.
Yeah, that it actually feels like really kind of grown up. Like being able to say my mornings, I don't have any meetings, I
Mm,
don't schedule in any sessions or whatever. That is all client work. That feels like a real, like I've set a very healthy boundary, um
agree.
and an easy one, a really easy one to follow. Yeah.
And then the afternoons of, you said, of having a pick and mix. How does that feel?
It feels really good because it means that I can, work out what, if I do really want an online offer, or is that just one of the shoulds that I've
Mm,
been kind of beating myself down with. So you know, that will give me time to really focus on that. And I don't have to be at my desk to do that either. I can go out and have a walk and, you know, think about those things. But it actually feels quite exciting, because I know that if I sandwich my day with client work for a couple of hours or 3 hours in the morning and then another 3 hours in the late afternoon, I'm squashing everything else in between those two pillars. And quite often everything will leak out, and so it then stretches on. But
And
I
that's how you end
know,
up with no lunch.
yeah,
Dinner
exactly.
getting later.
Yeah, definitely. So if I make it very clear that client work is in the morning and the afternoons, that it isn't, it's the non-pressured, non-time kind of restricted tasks, then I can make a decision, well, actually, I'm not going to do any work this afternoon. I'm going to take the afternoon off. And before, if I doing it the way that I did it until this very moment, I would never be able to make that decision, because there would always be some client stuff that I had to get done.
So feeling responsible, feeling
Yeah.
obligated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than feeling light,
Definitely.
energetic,
Yeah,
and
and heavy.
flowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Can that, if you do that, does that make your client work more light, energetic, and flowing?
It does
as well?
actually. And because there's a cut-off time. So I do work really well under pressure. I've always been a bit reluctant to admit that about myself, because it feels, you know, stressful. But I do work well when there's a deadline, like, you know, going back to what I said about being slightly scared of a client. That's not actually true, but I do love it when a client can rein me in and say, I need this by, you know, 3 o'clock on Thursday. Like that, really, I really enjoy that. And maybe I just need to be a bit clearer with my clients that they need to be stricter with me to get that stuff done. But so having a cut-off point, if I know that I'm going to finish at 1 or whatever, then I will absolutely knuckle down and get that work done.
And that's not necessarily having to say to your clients.
No, exactly.
Because is it their responsibility, or is it your responsibility?
It's 100% my responsibility. And I do slightly worry that then, because I'm setting these boundaries, I do like to kind of kick my own rules out of the way and do something different. But actually, it feels so nice to think about having the afternoons where I've got this pick and mix, that I think that I'll just, it feels like an exciting thing to experiment with. So I think I probably will stick to it if I'm realistic. And, you know, the other thing about working on clients in the morning is that quite often I'm up quite early anyway. And so if I did have more that I wanted to do for a client that day, there's nothing to stop me working earlier. And I don't feel guilty about starting early, but I do feel guilty about working late.
Does that give you the thinking space and the headspace you
It probably will. Yeah.
Mornings?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
We're just coming to the end of our session. So do you feel that your kind of your question around what you wanted to talk around has been answered for yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I do. I feel complete. And I actually feel like, you know how we talked about earlier about how there's like a really obvious way, and it's always been out of reach. I actually feel like this is the obvious kind of, why have I not thought of this before?
For you?
For me, yeah, of course.
Like you said, on the other side of that wall is the right way, the obvious way, but you've also said now that what's on the other side of that wall is you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Abi. You go and have a fantastic rest of your day. You're probably eking into your client time now, so
no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I've just got a big like writing chunk now coming up, so I'm going to honour that, and then I'm going to look at how to start from next week, just switching all of that around. But yeah, that's lovely.
Great. And honouring your time.
Yes, honouring the time, exactly.
Thanks so much. You take
Thank
care.
you so much. Thanks. Speak to you later.
Bye.